faceoff. Shoots it, deflected, right in. Pietrangelo save, rebound. Stastny stopped by Pietrangelo. I don't believe that save. Neither does Peter Stastny. He can't believe the save that Pietrangelo just made on him as Frankie Sparkly. Now that maneuver there to stop and rob Peter Stastny. He should get 5 to 10 for that.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tendy Talk. I am your host Joe, better known as Washed Up Goalie on social media. Last week's episode with legendary Armadillo mask maker and painter Don Strauss had some syndication issues, but it appears those are all cleared up now. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode yet, do yourself a favor and add it to your queue for the week. This week I go a different route with my guest and talk to Brother Rice High School of Chicago's senior goaltender Ed Vogrich. I connected with Ed as I am a proud alum of Brother Rice High School and of the Chicago Catholic Hockey League. I thought it would be fun to talk to Ed as I've kept close tabs on the old high school team and have followed his development over the last 4 years. I hope you enjoy the episode. Started. Ed, thanks for joining me today. It's fun to have you on, a fellow Crusader goaltender.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. You're carrying on the tradition that I was lucky enough to be the torchbearer for a while, and I know from following the team's Facebook page, your dad did as well. So it's a long storied tradition for sure.
Yeah, I also had 3 uncles who played at Brother Rice. All of them played hockey.
Oh, cool.
So
what years were they there?
For sure. I'm not sure exactly. I know my youngest uncle graduated, I believe, in 88 or 89.
Okay, so a little bit before me by about 10 years. I'm a 99 grad. I graduated the year before their last Kennedy Cup victory. So I like to believe that I helped lay the foundation for winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, where in the Chicagoland area do you live?
I'm south suburb of Chicago, right in Oak Lawn.
Okay. All right. I grew up right behind Pops, so I know where you're at.
Not far at all.
Yeah. And then my high school job was working at the Oak Lawn ice rink. So.
Well, you got a lot of guys on our team that are working at the rink. They just shut down for a few weeks, but
yeah, I saw that. It looked like maybe they had an issue with the compressors or something.
Yeah, they've been closed for a while with the rules here in Illinois, but I guess they were going to start to reopen, but they found a problem, so looks like they're closed for a little bit while they try and fix the ice.
Yeah, it's a bummer they couldn't discover the problem during the shutdown, the mandatory shutdown, instead of losing more ice.
Yeah.
Just getting back into it. So you grew up on the South Side, much like myself. I think I have an idea, but what made you get into hockey?
Well, not only the fact that my family played hockey when I was growing up. I mean, the Blackhawks, that was a huge part of why I started to play. I mean, they won pretty much most of their Stanley Cups while I was growing up. So that was part of the reason. And it's just kind of in Chicago, I think it kind of grew. It's a big part. There's a lot of hockey around now.
Yeah.
A lot of kids that play hockey. So
much different than when I was your age. I think when I was a kid, the Hawks had some good runs there in the early 90s with Belfour and Roenick and Chelios, but they never got over the hump, and it was the late 90s when they got really bad there for a while, rivaling this year's team. But the hockey community in Chicago at the time was it was a niche community. It was loyal to the core, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Just to see how many rinks have gone up since I was your age has been amazing. In fact, I see one of them's going to even be closing now, which is crazy with Johnny's Ice House. Once they sell, they're going to close that one. But the idea that they're even going to close a rink is crazy, and it really not impact the hockey community there too much because there's so many sheets is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even from me, I'm 10 minutes from 3 different ice rinks. So
yeah,
there's definitely a lot of ice around here.
Yeah, I was in high school when Mount Greenwood put their outdoor rink in, and that was just awesome. Like we can go skate outdoors finally. That was
Yeah.
amazing, and now they're all over the place. So growing up, you you grew up during the era of the Blackhawks winning Stanley Cups. Your dad played hockey. Your uncles played. What made you choose goalie though? Because I know your dad wasn't a goalie.
No, actually, my dad didn't play hockey. Just my uncles.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I thought it was your dad in one of those pictures. So it was your uncles in those pictures.
yeah, my uncles that played. I was a skater until my second year of Pee Wee, and my head coach now at Brother Rice was one of the coaches at St. Jude where I played youth hockey, and they needed a goalie actually for the year, and they asked my mom, and she said no, there's no way he's playing goalie, and she kept saying no, so they went around there and asked me, and I was like, yeah, like I want to play. So that year I ended up splitting. There was another goalie on the team who also was a skater. So we kind of took turns like every other game. I'd play goalie, then he would. So
You know, I got my start at St. Jude as well, skating over at SIA, and it was
yeah,
a similar story. I was a squirt, and they didn't even ask our parents. It was during house evals, and they said who would like to try goalie, and my arm went up, and
yeah,
but we had two of us, so if one kid was playing one game, the other skated out, and I think that's great for goaltender development because A, we learn how to skate, and B, we
yeah,
have a better understanding of what's going on in front of us. I think a lot of forwards are really surprised when they see us skate without the pads on and how good we are. And when we go out and play some shinny hockey, a couple times I've gotten comments of, "Hey, you're a lot better than I thought you would be," and I just kind of look at them like, "Why would you think otherwise?" You know.
yeah. It's
uh,
definitely a lot of fun. Even skating outside right now because a lot of rinks are closed. Just kind of going out with some buddies and skating, and like, oh, really? You're not as bad as we thought you would be. So it's
yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yep. It was always fun when we'd have practices after the season was over, and I'd get one or two of my teammates to put my pads on so I could skate out. And afterwards,
Yeah,
they always had a different way of treating me. They didn't try buzzing the tower in warm ups or even in practice anymore. They had a little more
yeah,
respect.
yeah. I've definitely done that a couple times. Towards the end of the year, even skate with the JV team a few times as a skater. So
Yep. Yeah. It's always fun. So when you were at St. Jude, did you play house league hockey? Did you play travel? Was it a mix? What was that
I
journey like?
played travel pretty much all my years at St. Jude. Just kind of in the middle, never really higher than a silver team. I was always on the Browns or the silver,
Yeah.
you know, second or third team. Never made the top team, but you know,
I think sometimes being in that situation makes a younger kid try, a little bit harder and gives them a little more fire in their belly. And especially if you're that bubble player, I've had this conversation with nieces and nephews of, would you rather be that last person to make cuts and never play, or would you rather be on the lower team and play all the time? And at the beginning of the season, right after teams are formed, they never agree with me, but at the end of the season, they look back and go, "Yeah, that was kind of fun."
yeah, yeah. No, I'd always prefer maybe play one team down, but get more time than be on the higher team and not play as much.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was at Brother Rice my junior year, we had a senior goaltender as our varsity goalie, and they put me on JV, and the coach had that exact conversation with me: is, look, we want you to play. If you play varsity, you're going to
Yeah,
sit on the bench. And I didn't take it very well that night, but I look back at it and go, God, one, that was one of the most fun years because we won quite a few games at the JV level. But two, uh, I did get to play. I did get to develop, and I get to be a bit of a team leader as well to some younger kids. And
yeah,
I think that development was good as well, when you're in that situation.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
for folks not familiar with the way things work in Illinois, we don't play hockey at the younger levels based on where we live. It's based on association. So
Mhm.
when it comes time for school, most kids, especially in the South Side, go to private school. Um,
Yeah.
if we're being honest, it's because the public school system as a whole in the Chicagoland area is not very good. You
Yeah.
know, you can go to public school in the Chicagoland area and turn out just fine, but as a whole, it's not great. So a lot of kids wind up
Mhm.
going to private school, and you know where you're located, there's a handful of schools. You got the best one out of the bunch, Brother Rice. St.
Definitely.
Lawrence isn't very far from you. There's the worst one out of the bunch in Marist, you know, but we can go on. There's a whole bunch of them. What made you choose Brother Rice out of all the other options you had?
When I shadowed at Brother Rice in 8th grade, it was kind of the first time I really had saw the school.
Mm-hmm.
And what I liked most was that when I shadowed a few other schools, you kind of see, oh, there's all the hockey players. They're over here,
Mm-hmm.
at this table, eating together, hanging out before school. And over here is the baseball team and the football team. And at Brother Rice, it was what I liked. There was a mix of kids. There wasn't just hockey players or baseball or football, or even kids that are just in other clubs and activities. It was a big mix of everyone, and there was really like a true sense of brotherhood, and everyone
Yep.
wanted to be there. Everyone wanted to be there and to learn, to get better, to have fun. So that's what I like most about Brother Irish.
Absolutely. Were there any other schools kind of close in the running, or was it just nope? This was the one for me from the get go.
Yeah, it's actually funny because Marist, I shadowed there I think 3 times, and that was going to be my number two, but there was just something I didn't like about it. I don't know what it was,
I could give you a
but
list.
yeah. Now looking back, I think I definitely made the right choice. But when I shadowed at Brother Rice, I only shadowed there once, but when I was there, I knew that was where I wanted to be.
You know, it's interesting. When I was playing, most of my teammates from St. Jude went to Marist. I was the only one that went to Brother Rice. Did you have a similar experience, or did some of the teammates come with you to Brother Rice as well?
No, I didn't have too many teammates that came to Brother Rice with me. A lot of kids went to St. Rita, and there was a few
Yeah.
that went to Marist.
Yeah, it was funny. I had one teammate that they moved, and so he went to Providence. And the first
Oh
time we
wow.
played, he comes in on a breakaway, loses his edge, crashes the net, and you know, all three of us moved back a little bit. I remember the game was at SAA. It was in the end of the Zamboni, um, and me and Kevin, we just kind of start putting each other's hands in each other's face. Well, to the refs, it looks like we're starting to go at it, and so they
Yeah.
come rushing in. They're ready to probably throw both of us out of the game, and then they see we're laughing, and they go, "What's going on here?" And we're like, "We used to be
Yeah.
teammates. It's all good, you know." And I think
Yeah.
all of the parents in the stands, with the exception of our two parents, uh, thought that there was a fight about to break out, but it's not. Just a couple old teammates reuniting on the
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
ice.
That kind of stuff definitely happens a lot. I mean, even playing kids on Providence or Mount Carmel, St. Rita, Marist. I know a lot of kids on all the teams. So
Yeah, you know, it was fun when I went to college. I move in and I look down the hallway. In the room right next to me, we had a kid from St. Lawrence and a kid from Mount Carmel moving into that room together, who both played hockey at their. In you know, we knew each other. In fact, the one kid I played quite a bit with them growing up, and it was like, you got to be kidding me. We're, you know, how did three Catholic League kids wind up in rooms right next to each other? And it was very much picking on each other, school, saying some of the worst things you could say about their school. But as soon as one kid from outside the Catholic League tried saying anything about any one of our schools, it was all of a sudden like, wait a minute, what? Like, well, you were just saying it. I said, well, yeah,
yeah.
I can say that. You know, they didn't get
Yeah.
the brotherhood of the Catholic League, and that, you know, on the field of play, we are going to go at it tooth and nail. But
Yeah.
when somebody jumps in, we're going to fight together.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I know when I was at Brother Rice, my freshman and sophomore year in JV play, we won a combined 138-1 in league play. Although I do like to say we did quite well against the public schools, but in Catholic League play, we did not do
Yeah.
very good. Junior year, again, playing JV, we did quite well, finished above 500, made the playoffs. And then senior year at the varsity level, we made the playoffs. We were right around 500, I think. How has your high school career gone? How has that looked for you?
Well, unfortunately, my freshman year, I only played about 3 games
Oh,
because
no.
right around, well, actually on Thanksgiving, I was out doing some yard work and I sliced my fingertips off with a leaf blower.
With a
So
leaf blower. How does
yeah,
that happen?
I dropped the leaf blower and the cover on the bottom where the fan was. It was you plug it into the electrical cord and it came unplugged. So I picked it up kind of by the top and the bottom to put that cover back on, but the blades are right there. So
Oof.
I sat out most of my freshman year.
Oh, no.
And then my sophomore year, I played about half the games on the varsity, and we made it. We made the Kennedy Cup playoffs, and we made state obviously. And I believe we were out in the first round of the Kennedy Cup in state. I don't remember, maybe it was the first or second round. And then my junior year, played most of the games on the varsity. And that year, I think we made about the third round or the fourth round of the state playoffs. And we lost to Hinsdale Central. And now this year, AI just said there's no state tournament. So
I saw it. That's such a shame. Here in Minnesota, that they're doing their best to get the winter season in and get that boys high
yeah,
school tournament. One thing I think is really unique in Illinois for high school hockey is the fact that they also have a JV state tournament, which I think is just
yeah,
awesome. It gives those JV players something to play for, and you know, I'm sure some people are like, well, what's to stop a team from having so many, basically dropping their varsity team? And it's simple in Illinois. If you want to play in the JV state tournament, if you've played X number, I don't remember if it's games or periods, but if you've played X number of games, we'll say you're ineligible
yeah,
for the state playoffs. And it is that
yeah.
simple.
Yeah, I think it's about 75% of the games that they play. You have to be,
Yep.
on the roster, then you can play.
Yeah, I think that's just something that is really unique to the state, and really, really a good thing. When I was coaching here in Minnesota, I had mentioned that a couple times to our JV players, and they're like, "You're kidding me? They actually have that?" It's like, yeah, it's a real deal. It's not as big as here in Minnesota. They don't fill the United Center for an entire week, but
No.
it's a pretty packed stadium for that championship game.
Yeah.
They were pretty impressed. So this year's really been, terrible. I think
Yeah.
for any sport. Are they going to try and get a season in for you guys, or has it pretty much been decided? Unfortunately, your senior year is kind of down the drains.
Yeah. Right now, I think they're trying to get the Catholic League, trying to set a date to start, but I know there's nothing for sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not really sure right now.
Has the team at least been practicing when you've been able to, or how have team activities been?
We've been practicing a little bit. It's kind of tricky when we can practice and where, because Oakland was shut down for a while. But over Christmas break, the school allowed us to play some games while we weren't in school.
Mm-hmm.
So we played, I think, about 13 games in not even 2 weeks. I think it was about 10 days. We had a couple games a day.
And you guys probably
going
loved
out to
it.
Indiana and a couple up in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And we finally got to play. I mean, and we did pretty well, considering we really haven't practiced at all.
Yep.
So that's the biggest problem. It's hard right now, just because we can't. It's kind of not up to the school, but they have to follow whatever the rules are from the governor, and like some of the public schools and a couple of the other schools, they're allowed to play, but we still have school every other day, so you kind of got to be careful if we don't want to get everyone sick. So
yeah, well, here in Minnesota, they shut the rinks down for a couple weeks for the second time, and when they opened up, they said, yeah, you guys can skate, but you have to wear masks while you skate. And there's a lot of people not happy with that one.
Yeah,
Which
we
is,
went through that at the beginning of kind of at the end of the summer when we were practicing, and it was like you could have 10 guys on the ice at a time, and
yeah.
you had to have masks, and the coach did. And then we played a few games in Michigan, and they required masks while we played. So
Yeah. I've gone over the border to Wisconsin to get a couple skates in, and they're much more relaxed. It was nice not to have to wear a
yeah,
mask while I skated. And what's interesting is the Mayo Clinic here in Minnesota, their experts are recommending against it, saying it does more harm when exercising. Not saying,
yeah,
not wearing a mask, the rest of the time, but they said when exercising like that, it does more harm. And that's why you're
yeah,
seeing a lot of beer leaguers like my teammates saying, you know what, we're going to skip this winter season, not because we have issues having to wear the mask, but we don't feel our fitness level is at a point where we can skate with the mask on. And I'm looking at them
yeah,
going, but mine is, I should still be able to play. You guys are killing me.
yeah, yeah. No,
um,
it's definitely no fun with the mask
yeah. So
trying to play.
for school, have you guys been the hybrid model the whole time, or
Yeah,
okay?
we've
Because
been hybrid all like the whole school year. We just had 2 weeks after break though. We had 2 weeks online, so everyone could kind of come back from if they went to travel over break.
okay,
But other than that, we've been the hybrid model all year.
fantastic. I have a niece over at Mother McCauley, and
Hmm.
she said same thing. They've been pretty much hybrid the whole time.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, she's liking the fact that you have to wear a mask because she got a nose ring, and as you know, those aren't allowed over at Mother McCauley, so the mask
yeah,
hides it. Uh,
yeah. I just hopefully no one at school's listening too much, but I had a little bit of a beard going under my mask last semester, so
yeah, I remember we had a kid. He played hockey my freshman year. He was on the varsity team. If you've ever seen the movie Revenge of the Nerds, he looked like Booger. So of course that was his nickname. But he was a
uh,
kid. He would come to school with clean shaven, and by the end of the school day, he had a 5 o'clock shadow. Where if he would have walked in the doors in the morning with that, he would have gotten a
yeah,
detention. But he was one of those kids. He's like, it doesn't matter what I do. Uh, yeah,
yeah,
but I still remember the day it was my very last high school practice. One of my teammates is wearing my equipment. I'm skating out. First shot, I'm cutting across the crease. He poke checks me. I go over him. I come down. My hand goes one way. My thumb goes the other. I think I break it.
uh-oh.
But I'm going, yeah,
Mhm.
it's my bottom hand. I can still finish the skate. I didn't break it, but I severely sprained it. So I wound up going to the ER, got a cast, and I'm walking into school. And I'm in the pool corridor still, and I run into Mr. Antos, who is the
Mhm.
principal at the time, and I'm wearing a polo shirt instead of my
Uh-huh.
shirt and tie. And he goes, it's not summer months. Why are you wearing a polo shirt? And I didn't even need the doctor's note, which I had. I just held up my cast and looked at him and said, have you tried buttoning a shirt with one thumb? And he goes, okay, you're good. But it was
Yeah,
like,
Mr. Antos, he was still there my freshman year, and he might have been there sophomore year. And now we have Mr. Alberts, who was
yep,
he was the assistant principal.
yeah.
But
Mr. Antos is a true gem and champion of Brother Rice. He was there for years. Like I said, he was there when I was there. Um, and whenever I would come back to Chicago, I'd swing by the school and say hi to him. And I,
yeah,
I think any alumni could walk through those doors and he'd know exactly who you were. It didn't matter how many years later it was. He was
yeah,
that kind of guy. It's great to see him enjoying retirement a little bit as well.
yeah.
um, so speaking of some of the teachers, we had Brother Hayes for physics.
I have not had Brother Hayes.
Okay,
He's
yeah,
still there, but I don't have
yep.
him.
He's another one that when I come visit, I can walk in that room and he'll just right away, Mr.
Yeah,
Drennan, how are you doing? Still doesn't call me by my first name, but yeah,
yeah,
he was one of my favorite teachers there, in part because he had an awesome way of teaching us physics, so where it made sense. When we were
uh,
learning projectiles, he took us out onto the football field with a water balloon launcher, and we had to figure out if we could make the field goal or not. What
yeah,
angle, how far back. So he was one of the one of the good teachers that was there.
Yeah, I haven't had him, but any of my classmates or anyone I've ever talked to, they have had Brother Hayes. They said he's one of the best teachers they've had.
Yeah, I'm sure we've had some of the same teachers, guys like Mr. Melinda and
Mr. Melinda.
Coach Dwyer still there?
Coach Dwyer is there, yeah.
Is he still telling his stories from his days at Marquette with Chris Farley?
He does tell some stories from his days at Marquette still, yeah.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast, but I think he wasted an entire week of religion class telling one of his college stories from Marquette that involved the trip was supposed to take them to Florida. They wound up in Myrtle Beach. Chris Farley was involved, and there were some other things that probably weren't appropriate for a religion class, but it was wildly entertaining.
yeah, we definitely. I've had him actually 3 years now for theology class, and definitely heard a lot of stories about Marquette.
Yeah, he can tell a really good story, but also a good theology teacher for those wondering. So your senior season, it's starting to wind down. Senioritis is probably starting to set in already with this hybrid model. What are the post-high school plans for you?
Well, it's made it a little hard with COVID to kind of figure it out. So I'm not for sure yet, but most likely I'll stay home next year and just go to Moraine or possibly St. Xavier, but most likely Moraine, and take some classes. And I have another year I can play U18 hockey still.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably just play hockey around here somewhere and go to Moraine, and then I'll have a little bit more time to figure out what I want to do. I know I want to do something with computer science in college, but I just want to find a school that I like. So
yeah, it's tough when you really can't do those campus visits right now. I mean, schools still are doing them, but how good of a visit is it if like when I went to St. Mary's here in Minnesota, and because almost half the school at the time was from the Chicagoland area, they would have these weekend bus trips to go check out the school. And I did one of those, and I was like, yeah, this is the place for me. But it was because I had that experience. Had I not had that, I don't know if I would have chosen the school. But knowing what you want to pursue is half the battle. And computer science right now is a great one. Are you looking to continue your hockey career in college? Is that something you're hoping to do, or?
Yeah, I definitely want to play hockey in college. So that's been kind of part of the problem. Not part of the problem, but that's made it a little bit harder.
Part of the struggle.
That's got hockey, and that's got computer science. And
so are you looking the Division III route, the ACHA club hockey route? Are you keeping I would assume you're keeping all avenues open, but is there one route you're kind of looking towards?
Not really. I kind of have all of them open right now. I guess just kind of seeing how things shake out or how they play out next year, and how it goes from there.
Yeah, well, my advice, if you're going to take advantage of that U18 year, it's you got to market yourself. Those schools that you're interested in, if they have those programs, it's a lot easier for you than it was me, because we had the internet, but it was dial-up modems, and you weren't going on there to check out schools or whatnot. So, check those schools out, get in touch with those coaches, start following them on social media, so they start to recognize the name, and it goes a long way from there. So I don't know if you've listened to much of the podcast, but one of the other things I try to do is find out a little bit about the goalie away from the ice. So when you're not in school studying, getting your learn on, and away from the rink, what occupies your time and keeps you interested?
I like to golf, so I go golfing a lot with a lot of my buddies from school and from the hockey team. And I used to play baseball. I stopped. I played my freshman year, not at Rice, but I played my freshman year. And besides that, I really spent a lot of time at the rink, whether it's volunteer with some youth teams or just skating with other teams, or rat hockey, stick and puck.
Good
whenever
old
I could
rink
get on
rat.
the ice. Yeah.
I was the same way, you know, mom and dad for summer sports, they'd say, you know, it's sign up for baseball and hockey. Do you want to do either one? I'll do hockey. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know, it's just hockey year round ever since I got the chance. And, you know, my first, actually, I can't say my first job. My first job was actually stock boy at a liquor store under the table. But my first real W-2 job was at a rink, just because it gave me more time there. It meant I could skate after hours, and got in trouble a few times for staying out a little too late skating. But
yeah, I've been reffing. That's what I started. This is my third year
nice.
reffing, so
yeah,
that's still spend more time at the rink.
I try ice time and get paid for it. That's even better.
That's the best part.
Yeah,
and even over the summer, I worked for a company called Planet Hockey. So we teach youth hockey camps all over the United States, and they have a couple European trips. So all summer I'm in the rink every day, Monday through Friday.
Yep. When I was in college, I worked our summer hockey camps, and I tell you what, working those camps, I noticed my game elevated from doing that, because you're focusing on the fundamental. And I believe it was when I was talking to David Hutchins of In Goal magazine, who is a teacher, and you know, he said there's the old saying where you don't really learn until you have to teach. So working those camps and having to teach younger kids how to do these different things, it really changes the way you almost look at the game, and helps you understand it a little bit better. So that's awesome that you're doing it already, and not waiting until you were older like I did. But it was a different time. I mean, I was fortunate that St. Jude had a goalie coach, and that was just because there's a recently retired ECHL coach that was trying to get his foot in the door. So he said, "You guys get the ice, I'll coach these kids." And that was about it. You know, thunder hockey, summer power skating was about the only thing available for us. And for a goalie, power skating, you know, we were there to stop pucks, you know, and it was, there was no real structure to it outside of that. Yeah. So the other thing I like to do with the podcast is I have 10 rapid fire questions. So I want to get into them, because I'm trying to get into them sooner than later, because I've run the risk of not starting them, and then I get so late where it's like, oh, we really have to plow through these. So the first one, what's the craziest coaching moment so far from your playing days where a coach has just kind of lost it?
Oof. This is actually when I was a little bit younger, still at St. Jude. It wasn't my St. Jude team or another team, but I just remember it's kind of like those videos you see on YouTube where the coach just starts grabbing stuff off the bench and throwing it on the ice. And it was a player in the game before us. I don't know. He got hurt, and he didn't like the call that the official made, and he started arguing with him, and he just started grabbing water bottles and sticks. And I think he definitely got some suspension for that. But that's probably the craziest thing I've seen.
Yeah, do they still do it the way they did back when I played, where AHI puts the list of current suspensions up on a list in every single rink, so you walk in and it's like, they're still suspended type of deal?
I don't know now that not all the rinks have them listed on paper, but you can definitely find them online on the website.
Yeah, when I played, there was a family at St. Rita. They were affectionately known around the Catholic League as the MFer family, because even their mom would just be shouting from the fans, and every third word was MFer this, MFer that. And at least one of the four was always on that suspension list. In fact, the one kid, I would say, I can tell you the name after we're done recording, because it's probably a familiar name to you, having played at St. Jude. But he wound up jumping me in the lobby of SIA after a game because he didn't like something I did in the game. I don't know what it was. I upset him. And, you know, so it was walking into the rink after that. They got hit for that one.
Yeah, definitely haven't had something like that happen to me, but
Yeah, it was amusing because as a good Southsider, my dad was a Chicago fireman, and St. Rita is a huge fire department school.
Mhm.
So he knew a lot of the dads on that team, and they saw what was happening. And rather than go after the St. Rita kid and pull him off and protect him, they're pointing the finger at him like he's the one that started. He's the yeah. So that was kind of amusing that all big bunch of St. Rita dads were the ones backing me up on that. I can't even call it a fight because I didn't even have time to turn around and defend myself before it got broken up.
Yeah.
Of all the goalie masks, what's your all-time favorite so far?
Oof. I'm not sure. I don't know if I could even give you an all-time favorite. There's been a lot of good ones recently, I think. Especially NHL came out with those new jerseys. I think a lot of the goalies kind of changed their masks a little bit to go more with their team colors. And
Yep.
I like a nice, simple, clean mask. I got mine up there in the
Yep.
back. It's
I like
real
it.
simple, stripe down the middle, number on the chin, logo on each side.
Yep.
So I like more of the simple masks, not, the more detailed ones are definitely cool to look at, but I like a
Yeah.
nice, clean, simple mask.
Yep. Well, you can see my old high school one in the back. It's just as you said, the logo on either side, and getting a mask painted back in those days was a little bit different. There used to be an airbrush shop in the Chicago Ridge Mall. Uh, it's not a cafeteria, by all the restaurants. And I just went in there one day. It's like, hey, do you guys airbrush goalie masks? And the guy's like, never done one, but I've done motorcycle helmets. Let's give it a try. And
Yeah.
it worked for the time.
Yeah. My first mask was a guy who painted motorcycles as well. And
Yep.
he did mine.
Yeah. What's your favorite rink that you've played at?
Oof, my favorite rink, other than maybe playing at the United Center when I was younger, the new practice rink for the Blackhawks, the MB Financial, or I think it's now Fifth Third.
Fifth Third.
That's definitely a nice rink to play at.
Yeah.
Probably one of the nicer ones around here.
Of all the rinks I've played at, SIA is still on my list of maybe top three. Just it's a little bit of a dump, if I'm being honest, but there's just a little bit of history there. Of course, when I played, they still had the Oregon. But there's just something about the history of that place where it's kind of fun to play at.
Yeah, it's not our home rink. St. Rita plays out of there right now. That's their home ice, but it's definitely a lot of fun playing at SIA. There's just something special about that, about SIA that makes it SIA.
Well, and when I was playing, Brother Rice, Marist, St. Lawrence, St. Rita. I'm trying to think of who else all called it home because Mount Carmel was playing out of Homewood Flossmoor. Providence was playing way out wherever they are. Notre Dame was in the league, but they were playing out up Skokie way. But it was like half the league played out of SIA. So it was like, didn't matter if it was a home game or a road game. We were going to the same place. It was, wait, which locker room do we go to? Okay, we're the visiting team today.
It's definitely the same now.
Yeah, getting a goalie bag into locker room 4 was never fun.
It's still that same little narrow hallway, and
I
found it's easier if you leave the pads behind and you bring the bag to the locker room first, and then you go back.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, I shared a picture on Instagram the other day that one of my teammates dug up. It was just a couple of us after a practice in locker room 1, and I know it was locker room 1 just because of the layout of that place. It's a rink with a little bit of history, to say the least.
Definitely.
What's your favorite stick that you've used so far?
Well, I know going against you, and I've heard how much you like the foam core stick. I'm using the new Bauer ultrasonic stick. I got a couple of them for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
So that's probably, I'd say, one of my favorite sticks that I've used. It's so light. And
I will say, I think my next stick probably will be a composite, because at some point I have to give it a try. And my hesitation early on is, 10 years ago, they were so brittle. The kids I was
Yeah.
coaching, they were breaking so quickly. But now the technology has come long enough where I can get some wear and tear out of it, because I'm the kind of guy, unless it breaks, I'm not replacing it. So I want a
Yeah.
stick that's going to last, especially if I'm going to pay $200 to $300 for a stick. It better last me. The
Yeah.
Warrior I've got right now, I think I'm on year 3 with it. The Bauer I was using before that, I bought almost 10 years ago. And my number 3 stick I have from college, which is closing in on 17 years ago. So I
Yeah.
get some miles out of my stick. So I just want to make sure whatever I buy is going to last.
Yeah. I had the Bauer, the one from last year, the 2S Pro, and that lasted me. I actually broke like, I think our second or third from last game, right at the end of the year. So it lasted me just about the whole season. Right in the
That's not
playoffs
bad.
is when it broke.
That's not bad, because when you're playing as often as you do with practice, and seeing the quality of shots, in beer leagues I'm not getting slap shots, and that's usually what's going
Yeah.
to break a stick. So getting a year out of a stick is pretty good. I remember going through a couple of them a season back in my high school
Yeah.
days, but they were $50 a pop at that point, so it wasn't as bad. um,
Yeah.
what's your favorite hockey memory so far?
My favorite hockey memory, I guess it would probably have to be with Brother Ice. The last, not this year, but the last 2 years, we went up to Sheboygan, Wisconsin, for a tournament, and we've always taken a bus up there. We leave the day after Thanksgiving, or sometimes the night of Thanksgiving, real late at night, and just the whole weekend, spending the trip with the boys on the bus and
Yep.
in the hotel, in the locker room. It's just been a lot of fun.
It's funny you say that, because one of my fondest hockey memories is senior year. We went to a New Year's tournament in Indianapolis, and a blizzard hit, and it shut down all of Indianapolis. And
Mhm.
they shut down the road to get back to Chicago. And
Uh-huh.
the tournament ended, and we had school the next day. And so we told our coach, we're like, you got to call the team into school tomorrow, because we're supposed to be in class tomorrow. And so our coach calls Mr. Antos, and he goes, the hockey team won't be in school tomorrow. And Mr. Antos started laughing. He goes, yeah, we're not going to have school tomorrow, because Chicago got hit worse than Indianapolis. He goes, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not going to have school tomorrow. Tell the boys it's okay. It's not as exciting as they think it is.
Yeah.
But just that memory of running around the hotel, hanging out, that was
Yeah.
definitely fun. So far, what's been the best chirp you've heard on the ice or in the locker room?
Oof, the best chirp I've heard. I'd say one of our guys who had said it to a player on another team. We were winning by a few goals, and this guy was trying to talk some smack to our team, and one of our guys told him to turn around. He wanted to see what his name was. He'd never heard of the kid, so he said, "Hey, buddy, what's your name?" And I don't think that kid had too much to say back, because he had no name on his jersey. So
Nice. It's fun. I've heard quite a few over the years, but I just started a little group text with a bunch of the kids I played with, because um, it's been long enough. I figured we need to get the team back together for a weekend tournament somewhere. And
yeah,
there's one in Wisconsin I'm trying to get them together for. And for whatever reason, our junior and senior year, a bunch of teams from Sweden came to visit and play hockey.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
our JV team was playing one, and I forget the age group. It was my senior year. I forget the age group, but I was a little old for this. We had some younger goalies, so I didn't dress that game. And one of the Swedish kids, for whatever reason, in the handshake line, decked one of my teammates, while his little brother, who's basically a pacifist, just comes rushing this kid and throwing haymakers at him. Well, another one of my
yeah,
teammates, who's now a cop and an MMA fighter, so that tells you he's always liked to get into altercations.
yeah,
He just unleashes on this Swedish kid, and just the kid had to get stitches in the locker room. One of the parents was a doctor or something, so they were able to do it. We may have lost the game, but we we definitely won the fight, but I'm trying to get this group
Yeah.
back together for a weekend tournament. And the one kid goes, "I'm only in if you can get a poor Swedish fella for so and so to beat the crap
Yeah.
out of." And so the best chirp after that was, "So it looks like all of this is hinging on the fate of some Swedish person that doesn't know what's coming."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now to get the band back together.
Speaking of, we had a team last year at the end of the year, right before COVID kind of shut us down. Beginning of March, we had a team from Ireland come over.
I saw that.
And we played them, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and we had like a little dinner with them after, so we got to kind of hang out with them and
yeah,
like
that was awesome. I like when teams get those opportunities to play teams from other countries. I know why it happens more in Chicago than it does here in Minnesota, because they want to go to a big city.
yeah.
Which Minneapolis, St. Paul, big city, but it's not what you read about in the travel guides when you're looking at the U.S. So yeah, that was awesome, and it looked like it was a decent game. Everybody had fun. Weren't any fights like it was when we had the Swedish kids come.
So it's cool. Also, some of those kids on the team from Ireland, they actually went to another Christian brother school in Ireland.
Oh, very cool.
That was even cooler.
Did any of them come shadow at Brother Rice for the day, or was it just?
No, we weren't in school then with COVID and all that. We went to full remote at that time, but no, they a couple of them were thinking about coming over this year and coming to Brother Rice and play hockey, but with COVID, I think that kind of got shut down. So
yeah, it's interesting. One of the goalie Facebook groups I'm in, one of the parents from the Ireland team was in there, and he was showing the jersey. He's like, "Hey, you're playing my old high school when you come in." So that was pretty cool. The next question on my list, I'm going to have to skip because you're not 21 yet. And even if you have an answer, we probably shouldn't share it. And that's what's the worst post game beer you've had? But I suppose we can change it to what's the worst drink to get at the arena after a game?
After a game, the worst drink. Not sure. I'm not a huge fan of slushies. I would have to say probably slushies.
Yeah,
as much as they're common, I'm not a big slushy fan.
So I know a lot of the rinks and their concession food there. What rink has the best concession food in your opinion?
I would say that they just put this new rink in Mount Prospect, and they got like their concession stand. It's like upstairs, and they got like a wood oven, like wood pizza oven. So I'd say Mount Prospect, they probably had the best concession stand.
When I was playing, SIA had some pretty good nachos, but they had the hot pretzel with cheese. That was pretty good.
That's favorite.
And then when I worked at Oak Lawn, so we had two different kinds of cheeses you could use. We called it the bag cheese in the one container, and the other we called it the canned cheese, which was in this giant aluminum can. Yeah. The bag cheese was always better because it was warmer, and it was a better spreadable nacho cheese. So whenever we'd go up to the concession stand, because I worked there, I'd be like, all right, I want nachos, but I want the bag cheese. And nachos we usually went with the canned cheese, but they're like, all right, you can have the bag cheese on this one. So yeah, it's finding what's good at the different rinks is always key, especially for mom and dad. So when you tape your stick, do you go heel to toe or toe to heel?
I go heel to toe.
Okay, so you're a normal goalie then. So I'm really interested to find the answer to this question, because I've seen what number you wear. What's your favorite number to wear and why?
Number 3, and that's the only number I've actually ever worn playing. Even when I was a skater, and then I switched to goalie, I stuck with 3, and it's just kind of a family number. that's just about it. My family's always worn 3, and coincidentally, I was born in 2003, and I was born on August 3rd. So
So
August 3rd,
it works.
2003, family number. It just kind of all lined up.
How many times do refs come up to you in a game and go like, number 3? What's with that?
I've gotten a lot of them. I mean, at home, not as much because we tend to have kind of a pool of the same refs for most of the games. But definitely when we're at tournaments or playing at different rinks, I've been asked a few times. But
yeah, that is one of the things I liked about playing on the south side is you always knew the ref. You knew what kind of game it was going to be too. They all had their little nicknames. We had the one ref, we called him the donut because he looked like a donut hole by his size, and he seemed to always be eating donuts when he came into the rink. And you just knew when he was going to ref your game, they were going to be delayed whistles because he had to catch up to the play, and it wasn't going to be a very good call game. But then we had the Schmutt brothers. I loved having them ref games because they worked my goalie camps, and so that the one would, if there were goal mouth scrums, he'd stand on the back of the net and almost coach me, like, watch your angles, keep that stick on the ice. One of those. But if I wasn't playing, for whatever reason, the both of them liked to eat Jolly Ranchers while they were reffing. And if I wasn't playing, they'd be skating by and toss me Jolly Ranchers throughout the game. Where that was when I had to, kind of let my coaches know, like, hey, I know these guys. It's okay.
That's definitely cool. You can kind of tell when you get out there for warm-ups. All right, this guy, he doesn't call too much, so you get away with a little bit more than other guys.
Yeah, and I've told the story before on the podcast of a kid that was, just hacking at my pads all game, and finally I cross-checked him in the back as the period was ending, and it was one of the Schmutt brothers, and I knew I could get away with it because it was them. If it was another ref, I wouldn't have done it, but I just kind of looked over and kind of got he deserves it, and all the way. And I should have probably gotten a 10-minute for that one, but didn't get anything for it.
I've definitely gotten away with a couple hits here and there, but most of the time, if most of the refs we have often enough, they know that guy gives me one whack, he'll give me one free whack back, and anything after that, that's when he starts to call.
Well, that's what the Catholic League is about too. It's a bunch of Catholic schools, but it's old Chicago style hockey where it's no holds bar. When I was coaching here in Minnesota for a Christmas tournament, Fenwick came up for the tournament. It was the year after they won the state tournament. And the other teams are like, you got to call penalties on that play. And the ref finally turned around. He goes, I could call a penalty on every single play with the way these guys are playing. He goes, but what they're doing isn't against the rules. It's just a lot rougher than you guys are used to. It's almost like North American hockey versus European hockey in a way. Just on a whole nother level.
We've definitely run into a few times going away to a few tournaments, and I guess the way we play here in Chicago is not the same they play in some other states. And
it's definitely a lot rougher. Although I was pretty happy that the way Fenwick played in that tournament, because I'm coaching all these kids like, oh, your high school hockey wasn't all that great. It was in Chicago. And then Fenwick comes and just cleans house and beats everybody and wins the tournament. And after that, the chirping from the players was a lot lower. And whenever they'd start to bring it up, I go, how about that game against Fenwick? How'd that go for you? And it's like, that's what we put up with every single game. And they're like, I don't know how you did it. And it's like, well, there was ways of dealing with it.
But they will turn a little bit for Fenwick. They're not doing as well now as they used to do, but we played them over break. One of the teams we played, so I think it was like maybe 6-1, 6-2. It felt good to play a Catholic League team. After all this time, but
they're one of those organizations where they're going to go up and down. They're either really good, they're really bad. St. Rita, I'm surprised they've been able to sustain. They're winning as long as they have it. they remind me a lot of how Maris was when I was playing, where they were consistently at the top. Not always winning championships, but they were kind of that team you eyed for. Of course, Mount Carmel, I
Yeah.
think, won 4 out of 5 Kennedy Cups in those years. So that was when they were winning state championship in football every year too.
Yeah.
That was so. It was my senior year. We had Mount Carmel for homecoming, and we're like, who schedules Mount Carmel for homecoming when they're coming off like 3 straight state championships? And there was just something about that week. You knew something was going to happen, and or no, it was my junior year because this was before lights at at the football stadium. It was one of the last years before they put lights in. So it was Saturday morning football game for homecoming. And we had a JV game Saturday morning at the same time. And who were we playing but Mount Carmel? And the football team just upset them, ended their, forget how many games in a row they had won. They ended the streak. And to be honest, I don't even know how we did in the game, whether we won or not on the ice, because somehow, cell phones weren't really a thing in those days, but somehow word made it to the rink that we beat Mount Carmel, and it didn't matter what happened on the ice that day. That was right after Donovan McNabb was playing there too. So I mean, they had some dynamite teams. I'm trying to think if he was. I think David Deal. Yeah, David Deal. That was his senior year, so he was on the team and helped lead that one. So that was a fun year. I kind of bummed that I missed that game, but I had my own. So what advice do you have for young goaltenders?
I'd say a common thing I would give to younger goalies is just keep working hard, especially at the younger levels. They don't get too much help.
No.
So they definitely get run up on the scoreboard just a little bit. So I would say it's not always about, if you're winning or losing, as long as you're having fun and working hard, stick with it and things will shake out.
Yeah, that's great advice, and it makes me wonder: as you were coming up and not having that guidance that kids in Canada or even Minnesota with goalie coaching have, where did you go to learn the position on your own?
Well, now I found a lot online, really, on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Just kind of scrolling through and you see different things here and there, and maybe I'll try this at practice, and it starts to work. So I found a lot online and through just my goalie coach at Rice and a couple other goalie coaches that I work with on the side. But
the fact that Brother Rice has a goalie coach now is awesome. When I was there my first 3 years, our head varsity coach was a goalie. So he tried doing some stuff, but when you're coaching the whole team, you can't give the goalies the time they need. There were a few times where if they were doing power skating or a bag skate, he would send those boys down with the assistant coach, be like, all right, goalies, come on down here. But that was in an era when we were still doing pad stacks and skate saves. So it was a different time. There was one drill. It was affectionately known as the ball buster. And we started out on the ground. Coach would hit the stick on the ice. We'd have to get up, take a shot, go back down. And then no sooner did you get down, he's, on your belly, he's hitting the stick again, but when I look back at it, that was just a drill on don't give up on a play. That's what it was. You're down, you're out of position. You've got a shot coming before you're ready for it. What are you going to do? But you do 5 shots in a row and you're like, Jesus, I need 10 minutes of rest here. Nobody liked it when coach is like, all right, fellas, we're going to go do the ball buster. It's like, all right, can I do some bag skating instead?
I've done that one a few times.
That just might be a holdover from the days, because I know some of my teammates that I've skated with, they also goaltenders coached at Rice for a while afterwards, so they maybe held it over. So in closing, where can listeners find you on social media if they care to, or do you want them to?
Yeah, if they want to, that's fine. On Instagram, my username is just Ed Vogrich. Same thing on Twitter. That's pretty much what I spend most of my time on is Instagram and Twitter. And Facebook, I'm on there too, but mostly Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's just Edmund Vogrich, my name, no space.
Yeah, and I'll put links in the show notes to the two of them because I'm sure most folks aren't going to remember how to spell your last name.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to ask you how to pronounce it before we started here. So, but Ed, thanks for joining me. It is fun to talk to a fellow Crusader, somebody that's carrying the torch that I was honored enough to once carry myself.
Yeah.
I remember hearing once that the Chicago Catholic Hockey League is the longest continuously playing high school hockey league in the U.S. So it's definitely good hockey with a lot of tradition that I think some people are surprised to hear about.
Definitely is, yeah. Especially with, you got the powerhouse of New Trier and some of the bigger schools like that. But I think the Catholic League definitely gets overlooked.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those leagues where I think we don't have as many state champions as other leagues simply because we beat each other up so much during the season. We don't have any gas left in the tank come state playoffs.
Yeah.
And that Kennedy Cup, it's not easy to win. Unlike most high school hockey leagues, the Kennedy Cup is not a one game in advance. It's a best of three series for 3 rounds, which is really cool when you think about it. So it really is the cream rises to the top every year to win that Kennedy Cup. And it's really fun to look back at some of the teams that have won them, some of the players that have been a part of that as well.
Yeah.
So, but again, thank you. I appreciate your time on a school night. I hope you got your homework done before you talk to me.
Yeah, definitely got it all done. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. It was fun to talk to not only a young high school goaltender, but one from my alma mater. Part of me wanted to talk about all things Brother Rice, like the cookies from the cafeteria or personalities of different teachers that I had that are still there teaching. I hope Ed and the rest of the Chicago Catholic Hockey League teams are able to get in some sort of a season this year, especially for the seniors. You can find Ed on Instagram at Edmund Vogrich, all one word, and Twitter at Edmund_Vogrich. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, simply by searching Washed Up Goalie and I'll pop up. Visit washedupgoalie.com for some great hockey-related content, my beer league hockey video highlights when I get to skate, and all podcast episodes. If you want some Washed Up Goalie or Tendy Talk apparel, be sure to click the shop link on my website. I need to thank the band The Zambonis for allowing me to use their music on my podcast. You can download their music on iTunes or listen wherever you stream music from. And for this episode, I have to thank my old physics teacher, Brother Hayes, for sending me the Brother Rice fight song to use closing out this episode. I'm working on lining up other goalies to talk to for future episodes. If you are a goalie or have connections to a goalie who I should talk to, shoot me an email at washedupgoalie39@gmail.com or send me a DM on social media. Let's not forget, if you're a brand who wants to sponsor the show, be sure to reach out to me and we can work something out. And finally, if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment on the podcast platform you are listening on. It's a quick action on your part and helps others find Tendy Talk. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice and your body square to the puck.